Have you ever felt as though you can't control your own emotions and it's as though something more powerful than you is leading you in a certain direction that you don't really want and you are completely out of control? Well, I have a story to share with you as to how deep that could go and how attached and controlled we could actually be by not only our own shadows, our patterns, and like our childhood traumas, but by those of our ancestors and what they went through. So recently I had this confirmation, like right in my face. Again, I've recently separated, moved to Miami with my daughter, but the first 3 or 4 months I had to leave with my parents because I had no idea, how I was going to make a living. And yet I felt extremely guilty about it. Like, how could a mother ever do this? And in a conversation with my dad, which, we never talk about these kind of, touchy-feely things, but it came up and he was like, okay, I have to tell you this. Like, your great grandma did exactly the same thing. And then he tells me the story that my great grandma was separated from her husband, so my great grandpa, and she left the kids to be raised by the grandparents for a while. And then they got back together. A lot of the circumstances were exactly the same, the age, the timing, and everything around it. And it made me realize how deeply attached we are on a genetic level. I don't know, on an energetic level. I don't have all the explanations for it, but I've seen this over and over again of how we just simply keep repeating those patterns. And there is a time when we can say, no, I don't want to keep repeating this. And I have my own life to live. I'm my own creator. And I've always felt, especially in that line, that lineage, the maternal lineage of my dad's side, that it's almost as though the women from the past are asking me to break free from the limitations that they had, from all the past traumas as like women that couldn't do the things that they wanted to do, that could not exercise their real powers. Like, for example, I found out also that the same great grandma, she was like the fortune teller in the city, and I found deep hidden in a wardrobe her tarot cards, and that was completely prohibited in the Soviet times. But when I found that, it was an indication to me of how much they had to leave behind and how much they had to limit to be accepted, to be included in the society. And I don't know if the reason she got back together with her, my great grandpa, was because she had to, because the circumstances were just too difficult to be a single woman at the time, or it was actual love. That's something that I have to find out on my own, I guess, through this connection that I feel with her. But the story is so powerful for me, and it portrays how much and if you've ever done the family constellations or any of those energetic, which I really recommend, energy work that helps you see these patterns in you that are absolutely there, and they can be healed if you bring them to your awareness and if you shed light on them, and then choose to do differently or choose to do things more consciously. Maybe you don't want to break some of the patterns, or actually things that you do want to reclaim, some of the things that were there and couldn't be expressed. You connect to them and you can express that through yourself. Another thing I discovered is that, again, my that line of my family was extremely well-to-do, and they lost all of everything they had. Not just money, but a lot of the members of the family, to the Armenian genocide. And so money became associated with pain and with persecution, right? And then when they moved to, first Russia and then Armenia, they were able to recover all of it, but then the Bolsheviks came around and took the money again. And so again, it has been a pattern in the family. And then we lost everything too when the Soviet fell apart. So it's time for me to say, I don't want to be living that cycle and say that money is a negative thing. I want to use the money and attract it in order to really become who I want to be, pursue my dreams, and break free from that unconscious repetition of ancestral traumas in the past. So I'd be curious to know if you've had similar experiences and if you connect to what I shared. So thanks for listening. It's Bella again, and see you next week.